Hey everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Cultist Cardboard Crafting. And I am your favorite Dungeon Master DM Andy. Today we're going to build sci-fi buildings for your futuristic war games. One of my Amazon deliveries came with some interesting packing materials, so I decided to turn them into sci-fi buildings. I took a piece of cardboard and peeled one side away to expose the corrugation. And I'm going to use that piece of cardboard to make a wall for the missing side of the foam. Just line it up with the flat side of the cardboard and trace the inside with a marker. Take a box knife and cut away the unwanted portions. Don't cut away any of the marker line or you'll cause gaps when you go to glue the wall in. Quick tip, sometimes it's easier to start in the middle of the cardboard than to cut from the outside edge in. I took an aluminum ball and texturized the building before I started. I wanted it to have kind of a concrete fill before I added any pieces on or glued anything to the building. Then I warm up the hot glue gun, pump glue into the corrugation and all around the edge of this wall piece, and I slide it in nice and gently while the glue's still hot. Once the glue dried, I added a little glue to the inside to reinforce that garage door. I moved on to my roof. I wanted it to look sort of like the TPO roofs you see on buildings nowadays, so I took a piece of flat cardboard made out of like food packaging material, and I cut a shape out to hide all the mold lines in the foam. Then I just glued that on with hot glue and set it aside to start digging through other bits and bobs to find some parts to make this building look more sci-fi. This is that age-old pizza box thing that holds the box lid off the cheese. I know that people hate these, I know they get used all the time, but I decided to do something kind of cool with one and use it to make the building look more space age. I grabbed a small round woodsy and I just hot glued it into the center of that piece. I took this piece of sprue out of an action figure toy, I think the guns were attached to it. I glued it to the side of the building to give it a strange industrial feature. From there, I started cutting up straws. I got some bendy straws and cut the corners out. I'm going to use it to make the pizza box woodsy thing look more like it's attached to the building for a necessary reason, like some kind of antenna or air conditioning unit. I grabbed some more food box cardboard, and now I'm going to make a door feature. So I'm going to just use the Space Marine right here to cut out something the right size so it fits your 28mm games better. Just eyeball it. So I cut down a square about the size of what I thought would be a cool door, and then I cut the inside of it out. Then I took another piece and I cut it down so it would look like the door is recessed behind that door frame. Once I got it the shape I wanted it, I actually cut the door at an angle so it would look more like something from Star Wars or Star Trek. Then I just hot glued on those three pieces. I left a small gap so when you go to paint it, the door seam will look more defined. This piece is a handle off of something that's been in my junk buckets forever. I just thought it fit the purpose of a sci-fi rooftop feature really well. I cut these pieces similar to how I did the door, only these are going to be more like armor plating on the outside of the building with some angular architecture of sorts. When you're doing scratch build projects like this, where you're just coming up with things as you go, just eyeball everything. There's no reason to spend all day measuring each and every little piece. From 3 feet away on the table, it's going to look awesome anyway. And next, I'm just going to mix up a small portion of Mod Podge and black paint. Both those tubes together are less than $2. So I just open up the brand new tube of Mod Podge and I squirt in paint till the cap is completely full. Then if you add a glass bead or a rock, the Mod Podge will mix easier. And then on to the sticky, messy part of these projects. Just coat this entire thing. Every corner, every nook, every inch of every little piece you glued to it. You want to Mod Podge the entire building before we go any further. I started painting in this curved edge on the wall. I wanted it to look like a sci-fi window, some kind of futuristic architecture, maybe even like an energy force field window. And then onto that technique I've showed you in the last few videos, where you just take a kitchen sponge and start with a dark gray paint. Add paint in some areas and not in others. Move on to a lighter gray to do your accents and highlights of that gray color. And then just get out some silver paint and start whacking away at some of these pieces you glued on. It's cool to edge highlight some of the armor or the door frame. The silver really makes the building pop a little bit. I made some edge highlights in just a few spots with the silver paint on the weird corrugated wall or garage door. Don't fill all of them in, because I'm going to go back over some of that with a different color. Got out some red paint. When I'm doing sci-fi stuff, I always like to put little red dots all over things. I don't know, like little LED lights telling you the device is on, or it's malfunctioning, or it's the buttons on the door panel to let you get in. It just helps to have a little bit of contrasting color in some of these very earth tone gray buildings. Then I got out the masking tape, and I put 2 pieces on, then cut down a really skinny piece and laid it between them. Again, I just eyeballed all this with the bottom of the building, and then I got out my Battle Brother Blue and the kitchen sponge, and I just sponged on the paint right down those 2 lines I just made. Kind of like a set of racing stripes, or, you know, just the kind of thing you see when you're watching sci-fi movies and stuff. The buildings in the background always have some kind of accent color. Be careful peeling away the tape here. You don't want to make a mess, or, you know, get the tape stuck where you just painted and pull half the paint up. I'm just going to set this aside and let it dry. And from there, we're going to add a few more accents. I went back to my corrugated wall, and I took out a shiny copper color, and I filled in some of the areas I left behind when I was doing the silver from before. And while I had this color out, I used it to, you know, weather some of the different spots on what might be metal pieces on the building, the hoses on the roof, just a few spots of color here and there. If you spend your time and you enjoy doing this, these buildings are really cool, and they will definitely add to your tabletop game. I hope you enjoyed this video. I had a lot of fun making these, and I'm going to have even more fun using them when we play. I hope you guys enjoy these videos, and I hope you'll tell your friends about me. Like, I spend a lot of time working on these videos and pumping out content so we can all enjoy creative new ways to get things done to make our tabletop gaming cheaper. And those in-between times when you're trying to hobby and there's nobody around to play with, it's a great time to make scatter terrain and other pieces for your game so you can enjoy really cool content when you're telling RPG stories, or when you're just push and shoot combat with 6-sided dice. Alright, all that out of the way, I'm going to spin each one of these buildings so you can see the ones I've made. I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you next time. I am your favorite Dungeon Master, DM Andy, saying like, watch, and subscribe, everybody.